Hello and welcome to the Money Street. There are certain decisions that we make with our money or certain financial actions that we take that seem very harmless but can suddenly make to us spend a lot of money. If you want to know which are the 5 financial mistakes that can be very expensive and that you should avoid at all costs, stay with us. It is very common to make mistakes in finances, either by ignorance, not caring so much, or simply because we have at our disposal many financial products, most of them with a high risk of costing us a lot of money. The number one mistake that generates a lot of money in terms of interest costs is to pay only the minimum amount of the card for a period of several months or even years. This is a guarantee that your debt will actually grow. This produces the snowball effect, in this case a gigantic snowball, and it becomes unmanageable in a short period of time. You can do several things with your credit card. If you signed up for a certain amount between that month's cutoff and the next cutoff, and then your payment date arrives. If you decide to pay the entire amount owed, then you will not generate interest. That would obviously be ideal, it is the best way to use the credit card. However, there are many people who leave balances because the rule is that if you cannot pay in full, the minimum the bank requires, the lowest you can pay, is precisely this minimum payment. The minimum payment is only between 5 and 10% of your debt. This means that interest will be generated on everything else that you have left pending. The truth is that credit card interest is not cheap at all, in some cases it can be as high as 50% per year. A financial tip is to pay at least 3 times the minimum so that your debt does not grow at that dizzying speed. If you have been in debt for a very long time and the interest has already grown to the point that the debt is huge, it is likely that you will have to start analyzing whether you have to restructure the debt or even negotiate a write-off that will effectively damage your credit history. As bad as this all sounds, you may already be at the point where you need to make a decision and stop the debt from growing. The number 2 financial mistake that can cost you a bundle is taking on someone else's debt in your name. This can happen in many ways. You may lend your credit card to someone to make a purchase. But you should ask yourself the reason why this person does not have a card, since probably the reason is that this person has not generated a credit history or has unpaid debts. It could also be that you take out a personal loan and lend the money to someone else. Or you become someone's guarantor. What happens in these situations, especially when you ask for a credit in someone else's name or you get into debt to lend to someone else, is that maybe this person does not feel responsible for the debt because it is not in his name, or if he has an unforeseen event, even if he has the best intention in the world, he will stop paying and leave you with the debt. So the solution to this problem is simple: never take on debt in someone else's name. In case you lend money to someone else, make sure it is from your own capital and do not borrow it. This way, in the worst case you never get that money back, at least you won't be the one who owes it. Third financial mistake. This is a golden rule. This is the mistake that can cost you a fortune. Not having an emergency fund. When you have a huge emergency, or even a small one, but it is extra money that you had not considered and you do not have a specific section for when there is some kind of unforeseen event. Be it an unexpected car repair, a breakdown at home, losing your job, among 1,000 other things that can happen unexpectedly. In any of these situations, chances are that, if you don't have the money to deal with the emergency, you will have to use your credit card and that becomes a debt. If you could not pay the emergency, it is very likely that you will also only pay the minimum of this debt. Then we are back to mistake number 1, and this becomes an interest catastrophe. To avoid this type of situation, the best thing to do is to start building your emergency fund little by little. To make your own calculations, if you would like to collect at least 1 month of your expenses during a year, you will have to save around 8% of your monthly income. If you are enjoying this video and want to be aware of new videos, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Mistake number 4 is living without insurances. In many countries, car insurance is mandatory, but many people drive without any kind of insurance. This can apply to not having major medical insurance, and if you have a major illness that you can't cover, you are going to be in debt again. Another example, if there is a problem in your building and there is no homeowner's insurance and there is a problem that is the responsibility of the neighbors, it generates again problems that can end up in debts and huge expenses. In the case of car insurance, the issue is quite delicate because regardless of the damage you can do to another car, if you damage public property, if there are people who are injured and incur in major medical expenses, this can also become a huge expense that can be avoided with insurance. It is necessary to take a closer look on what insurance you need. At a minimum, you should be concerned about having major medical insurance. If you have dependents, it is important to plan for a life insurance. And of course, if you have a car, the automobile insurance it is crucial. In order to find the one that best suits you, look for an insurance agent who can advise you. The number 5 financial mistake that can cost you another fortune is having your money stopped. This may not be that important, but depending on the amount you have, it can be expensive. What happens when you are not investing is that on the one hand you obviously do not generate profits from that money, which you already had a hard time earning and saving. On the other hand, the prices of things continue to rise. The famous inflation. That means that what you have saved has less and less value. Then imagine how much work you have to do to be able to buy less and less with the money you have saved. Investing, contrary to what many people think, if you do it in a proper way, and if you diversify intelligently, can protect you from many things. For example, it can protect you from currency depreciation, that is, when the currency loses value, and therefore the purchasing power of the currency is less compared to other currencies. Of course, there are some short-term investments that allow you to continue generating returns without taking so many risks. You have many options to choose from. The solution is to learn about investments. To do this, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, where periodically we will be uploading new videos on investments and capital management that can be very useful to learn about investments. In the end, we make a very important effort to generate money to be able to save it. So, it has no sense to make these mistakes that can be very expensive and take away all the money we earn in such a complicated way. I hope these tips will help you and improve your financial situation day by day. Please tell us about your financial mistakes in the comments. Thanks for watching the Money Street, and don't forget to click the subscribe button for more financial videos.